At first, when she walked into the house, because her sister brought her home, she was thinking, oh, this got to be my sister's friend. I don't know why this guy's sleeping on my couch. And come to find out, they did not know who this guy is. They bolt out the door. They call the police. The police come over. The guy was like intoxicated and stumbled into the house. And then he was taken to jail and charged with a second-degree trespassing, something like that. This was in 2016. Fast forward to last year, that woman and that man got married, and now they have a child.
My goodness gracious. Nobody could have determined this was going to be the outcome. So he thought that he was going to go into a coworker's house, that evidently he had a key to get in, and he was going to sleep on the couch. So he thought he was in the right. He did apologize. He sent flowers. Like, he struck up a conversation. He's like, I'm so sorry. Total mistake. And that's how it started.
So they were in their young 20s. Life is completely different. They've grown up. They no longer live like that, you know? I don't know where their life is in Christ, but here's the thing. They fell in love, and then now they're married, and they have a little kid a year after the marriage.
Yeah. You know what strikes me is he met his in-laws that very first night because, of course, those two sisters said, Mom, Dad, there's a guy in our house. And so maybe not the best meeting ever.
I know, right? It starts making you think about how you actually did meet your spouse. I met mine at a putt-putt course. I did not
So
meet on
cute.
a couch. I know, right? And Scott, I love Scott's story because it was at somebody's wedding.
Yeah, a friend of mine, I worked with her at the time. She was getting married, and I almost didn't go to this wedding. I came so close not to going, and I did. And at the reception, I met her maid of honor.
But it was a setup from somebody there, right?
No, it was just, she
Grandma.
was.
It was Grandma.
Grandma.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot this part. Yeah, the grandmother came
Poor
up
Grandma.
to me at the reception, tapped me on the shoulder. I had a suit on and everything. She just said, "You look so fine. You look so great. Would you like to meet my granddaughter?" And it turned out to be, the maid of honor that I'd noticed in the wedding. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I would love to meet her.
Grandma walked up and said, "You look fine."
You look fine.
So I'm glad I wore that suit. Yeah, that's another part of this.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
Well, the story of where I met my Hunnekins was online. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, His radio.
That was before online was really a big thing.
It was 1999. Nobody was meeting anybody online except this girl.
There's
Hello.
no phones to swipe or anything like that, huh?
There were phones, though. Don't make me that old.
Yeah.
Sherry, can you put me through to Joey, please? Thank you.
It was when it was Morse code.
Yeah, right. Whatever. Telegraph. Thanks.
Hey, I got to get out of this one. Kayla is with us at 800-447-7234. You met your hubby where?
We met at a gas station.
Kayla, was it like love at first sight over the Cheetos, or how did that happen?
I was outside pumping, and then he kind of like waved at me from afar, so it was kind of weird, but he just kind of went out of his way to figure out who I was, and God's got his own way of doing things, that's for sure.
You're right, huh? And I love your comment, Liz. Liz goes, love over the Cheetos.
Well, it has to start somewhere.
What were you playing out in your head? She was in the convenience store getting her Coke Zero. He's over at the Cheetos.
Well, hopefully it was pre-eating them so he didn't have the Cheeto stuff on his fingers.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
So an open mic just came in through the My HISRadio app. And this is from Google Play and the App Store. You can download the app for free. Let's check in with the open mic. And still wants to talk. Okay, how about we check in with the open mic? If you ever wondered if this was live, it's live.
Yes,
It's
good
live.
morning. Speaking of how you met your spouse, my husband and I met on Match.com, and we dated for 3 years, and now we'll be married 4 years in January. So I told him we should go on the commercial for Match.com and have our success story on there. And he said, no way.
No way. Not ours. Let's
He is
just
not down with that.
private there.
Crystal texted and said, okay, I met my husband in 2003 on a texting app called speed dating. I'd heard of speed dating, but I never heard that it was on an app. So that's kind of cool.
Speed dating app.
Yes.
That's unique.
That is very unique. Tanya texted about her daughter. She said she met her future husband when she walked up to him one day. He was in the sound booth at church. He was eating a sandwich, and she walked up and said, "You going to eat that?" Because he'd only eaten about half of it. And he looked at her and said, "Hey, you can have it if you want it." She took it. They've been together ever since. So love over a Sammy.
You had me at first bite? What in the world? I don't think that line would have worked on me, but it worked for her.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Honestly, the guy thought he could really get away with it. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio. So he's in like near a jewelry store area, sneaks into the store, goes to where the mannequins are, and pretends to be a mannequin because he was waiting for the store to close so he could rip off the joint. Didn't work.
I think it worked for a little while because he stood very, very still, and nobody passing him knew that he was a mannequin. You know, there were two others that did this a while back in a clothing store, and they actually got away with some things.
Yeah.
I mean, they were eventually caught, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, this guy didn't. I mean, pretending to be a mannequin. I mean, Scott pretends to be asleep sometimes.
That's
I
only when
do.
we talk.
I do. Well, at home, I've got a teenage daughter and a preteen son, and things can get a little cray from time to time. So I'll get in my recliner and pretend to doze off a little bit if things
Really?
get I do.
Okay,
Works
so
some of the time.
I may or may not have done that when the babies were little in the middle of the night. Just pretend I didn't hear anything because I knew my husband was getting up.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
I stink at small talk. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio. I mean, seriously, when it comes to small talk, I am bad at it. Now, here's the thing. If I know people, I can hold a conversation. No problem. But if I'm in a room where there's a bunch of people that I don't know, I'm so introverted. It's nuts.
You're introverted?
Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but again, if I'm in a room of people that I know, I'm okay. But if I'm in a room of people where I know maybe one person, and that would be my wife, I'm introverted. I don't know how to do small talk. It doesn't work for me.
Okay, well, I am an extrovert in every facet of my life, and so small talk is a little easier for me. I hate awkward silences, and so I will just jump in and start talking. But there is a way to do it, especially if you're introverted, at least in some cases. There's some questions that you can kind of keep at the ready that will get people talking. Okay, I'm going to help. You ready? Here we go.
Let's do it.
Ask about their family. First of all, like, do you have any siblings? Okay. The worst part about that is if they say no, well, then where do you go with that? You can ask where, they and their spouse met. If they have children, ask about the child, what they're studying in school. You can ask about their job. What do you do for a living? Especially if you don't know.
Maybe this is because this is what I do, day in and day out, is talk to people like this and ask those kind of questions. Here's what I feel like when I ask those kind of questions, and this is me personally. This is just me. I feel like I'm interviewing them for an article in the newspaper or something.
Well, and I do get that. I think for most people that don't have this kind of job that Rob and I have, then it wouldn't feel like that so much. You're just asking about their life. And honestly, like, you could even ask something like, so what are you doing this weekend? You know what I mean? And it opens it up. And if they say, well, I'm coaching soccer. Oh, well, how'd you get into coaching? And so you listen to the little bits and little nuggets.
And hopefully they respond that way. I've tried every now and then. I'll try, and if it's another introverted person, it really doesn't go far. It's like, so tell me about your family. I'm married, a couple kids. Okay. So how about your kids? I got a boy and girl.
Right. And they don't expound. If you find that
worn out.
right. And it is sometimes if you're the one that's trying to make all the small talk, it is exhausting. But I think you kind of at that point cut your losses and move on.
And then, okay, here's what drives me batty is that you're at a table Everybody knows each other. They're having conversation. You join in, and then it's just like silence. It's like, wait. And then you try to join in the conversation and say a few things, and it's like, it gets awkward with everybody.
You want to like sink back into the couch cushions.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Here's the thing. Carowinds, that you're used to being open year-round now, just said, we're not going to be open year-round anymore. So after all the way through to the end of this year, January, they're going to close for the small season and open back up in the spring. And I'm thinking, as I was reading this, and I don't know this, I'm just guessing, I'm thinking that's a smart move because then they'll be able to maintain some of their rides and fix anything that needs to be fixed and maintain anything that needs to be maintained and pressure wash the sidewalks. I don't know.
Pressure wash the sidewalk, sure. But it does make sense because I think before, when they're open year-round, they do have to probably close a certain ride for a little while so they can maintain it and then move to another one and move to another one. So you never know.
And I don't know how Florida does it. I'm was born and raised in the land of theme parks. You know, you got Universal and SeaWorld and Busch Gardens and Mouse and all that other stuff. And so they have to maintain those things, and they do close down rides to maintain them.
Yeah, and you have to check, like if you're going to make some sort of, big trip and go to Florida, or if you're going to Busch Gardens or whatever, you have to make sure that the ride that you want to do is going to be open when you get there so you can do it.
There's nothing like not having the right ride open when you want to go.
Well,
Like,
especially, yeah.
So they opened up this new ride at Dollywood like 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember. It was before the pandemic. And so my wife said, let's get season tickets. The first and last time we got season tickets because we got them for this one roller coaster was going to open up. I can't remember the name of it. Every time we went, it was not open. I'm like,
Oh,
this
my
is why we
goodness.
got the season tickets. It's open now and working great, but they kept delaying it because, they had to make sure the thing ran perfectly.
Right. Well,
know?
and now the expectation for Carowinds is you're closing down so you can maintain. Everything better be operational when I get there.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
So I want to share something that I just read about a young man and when he first met God. Now, he says he was at rock bottom, and he said, I just yelled out, God, please help me. Show me that you are here. God, please help me. And he said he was kneeling, and he saw this light that just sort of surrounded him and got bigger and bigger, and so it encompassed the entire room. And he said, what was happening? But why was I starting to feel better? He said, I started to cry. I mean, really, I started to really cry, that shoulder shaking, kind of uncontrollable weeping. But I wasn't crying because I was sad. He said, I was crying because for the first time in my life, I felt okay. I felt safe and taken care of. Decades of struggling with God and wrestling with life and sadness was all being washed away like a river of pain gone into oblivion. I had been in the presence of God. I was certain of it. And this time I prayed for the right thing. I prayed for help. That young man was Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry played Chandler on Friends for years. Matthew Perry, who lost his life over the weekend. I read his book earlier this year, and this was my biggest takeaway, was that Matthew Perry went to rehab 15 different times. He struggled with addiction basically his entire life, starting, I believe, when he was like 12 years old, and he met God. He started out as a young man not believing in God, but he met God in his lowest moments. And I honestly take peace from that, knowing that he had that relationship.
Isn't that good? The way that God can infiltrate a life and how unique it is for every person on this planet. The one common denominator is Jesus on the cross, dying for our sins. For me, I mean, I was on the streets and God entered into my life. I even have a coin that's in my hand. And this coin is from an organization called Celebrate Recovery. I have the opportunity to lead worship there and be a part of it. And on this coin, it simply says, my grace is enough for you. My grace is enough for you. And I don't know if you've been walking down the same road that Matthew Perry has walked down, needing some kind of recovery of some sort. And it can be from anything, but know this, he's your waymaker. God is there for you. And if you need prayer to walk through this journey, we're here. can always call our prayer line at 866-987-7729. Know this, you're going to make it today.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
So Liz asks a couple of days ago about M&M s'mores, and by golly, her pastor buys them and she brings them here for us to try.
Yeah.
These M&M s'more things, because they're supposed to taste like a s'more.
They're supposed to. And I guess my question was, do they have marshmallow on the inside? So he brought them to me yesterday at church. And so we're going to taste test them
Please.
now. Okay. So
I want to let you know that I'm going to be a good boy and I have a banana because I'm trying to watch my figure. So I will have a banana while Liz and everybody else has these M&M s'mores, and we'll taste them for you just so you know if it's worth it or not. So Liz has an interesting look on her face.
well, I'm trying to figure out, first of all, there's no marshmallow center. So when I first take a little taste test, I immediately get the graham cracker and the chocolate, but it's not, to me, it's not smoky. There's no real marshmallow anywhere.
Smoky, like it was over a fire.
Like toasted, yeah.
That okay.
So I
Where's
don't.
Ninja?
So Ninja, come here. Okay, so she's trying it.
So
And,
Ninja's our
what do you-
producer.
What do you think?
This just taste like normal M&Ms.
Are you serious?
This is
Really?
They're bigger,
They are
but
right. They are bigger, and they're like brown, orange, and white.
I think if I was blindfolded and I put my hand in the bag and it was mixed, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
That's true.
I
There's-
believe you.
There is a little bit of a hint of graham cracker. That's all I can say. It's a hint, but I think it's because I'm trying to find something in there.
You're trying to find it, and Ninja just says it tastes like an M&M to me.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't
Not-
taste anything like a s'more.
Nothing special, but you know what? It's sugar. It's chocolate. So
You
They're
say
not bad.
your pastor heard you talk about this and just bought them for you.
right. So I had quoted him in something that we were talking about, and he's like, when your favorite personality mentions you, you got to bring them something. And so he brought me the big
Wait,
bag
okay.
of the s'mores.
Let me try this because we have a new pastor at our church. Okay, so my pastor says Jesus is at the center of prayer.
Oh, I like that.
So-
Okay.
So what I would like is a Taylor Guitar 400 series.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
I've been knowing a lot of people that are getting married, so there's all these wedding registries, including my niece Madison. I don't think I've
Aw.
seen this one unique thing on her wedding registry, by the way. It's Rob and Liz in the morning, his radio.
Yeah, so Annabelle and James, they're engaged. They're putting together, probably doing the Target thing, the Walmart thing. They're scanning all the deals, the KitchenAid mixers and whatever. And about 26 days before they were supposed to get married, they added one last thing to the registry. James had gotten a speeding ticket, and so they thought, okay, let's try to get it that way. It was $231 for this speeding ticket. They put it on their registry. They did a TikTok about it. They posted it on their social. So it was funny. They were joking around. I think they would have taken the money had it come in for the speeding ticket, but only a couple of dollars. They actually ended up having to pay the speeding ticket themselves.
Oh, I'm so sorry. They had to pay their own speeding ticket.
I
Although,
know.
you never know. Maybe somebody would have. So at least they gave it a shot by putting the speeding ticket up on the wedding registry.
Well, here's what I think. So a lot of times at like a wedding reception, somebody will ring a bell and the bride and groom are supposed to kiss, or they'll pay $1 and you can dance with the bride or the groom. So maybe they play police siren during the wedding reception, or